to discuss another chapter from class 7 geography, that is chapter 10, Antarctica. Now, discovery of Antarctica. The term Antarctica, it refers to the opposite of Arctic Circle, which was coined by mariners of Tyre. In 1773, James Cook crossed the latitude of 67 degrees 15 minutes south along the Antarctic Circle for the first time. But although he discovered many islands, he did not catch sight of Antarctica. He could not find the Antarctica. It was in December 14, 1911, Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen and his team was the first to reach the South Pole. Treaty of Antarctica, it means an agreement which was done on Antarctica. This agreement, it was signed by 12 countries in 1959 and later many countries signed it. Now what are the features of this treaty? Number one, it prohibits military activities. It doesn't allow any kind of military activities such as deploying of forces, weapon testings in Antarctica. It prohibits any kind of mining. It prohibits or it doesn't allow nuclear explosion, testing of nuclear weapons or nuclear waste disposal. It only supports scientific research. Antarctica can only be used for scientific researches. Now Antarctica is a continent. Antarctica is world's southernmost continent, situated in Antarctica region of the southern hemisphere. It is covered with permafrost, means permanently frozen grounds. In Antarctica, you'll find the grounds are permanently frozen. It is the 5th largest country in area after Asia, Africa, North America, and South America. About 98% of the area is covered with ice with an average thickness of 1.6 kilometer. Antarctica on an average is the coldest, driest, and wildest continent and has the highest elevation of about 2000 meters above the sea level. Antarctica is also considered as a desert with an annual precipitation of only 200 millimeters. In Antarctica, temperature is recorded as minus 89 degrees C. There are no permanent human residents, but around 1,000 to 5,000 people reside throughout the year in research stations scattered across the continent. Antarctica stores about 90% of the world's total ice and 70% of fresh waters. Now the boundaries of Antarctica. It is surrounded by various seas of the 3 oceans of the world. They are Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and Indian Ocean. The Weddell Sea and Ross Sea deeply penetrate the continent into western and eastern Antarctica. The Weddell Sea and Ross Sea deeply penetrate the continent into western and eastern Antarctica. Now the physical features of Antarctica. Transantarctic Mountain, the only mountain in Antarctica, divides the continent into 2 parts, the western part and the eastern part. The western part is called the Lesser Antarctica and the eastern part is called the Greater Antarctica. The highest mountain of this continent is Vinson Massif with a height of 5139 meters. Mount Sidley is the highest volcano on Antarctica. However, recently around 70 lakes have been discovered in Antarctica. Among these, Lake Vostok is the largest one. Climate. Antarctica climate is the severest of all the continents. It experiences extreme cold, frost, snowstorms, and wind. Temperature in Antarctica, it is minus 28 degrees C in summer in January and minus 50 degrees C in winter, July. Now you can say how it is summer in January and winter in July, because the weather in, the season in the continents in the southern poles like Australia, Antarctica, they have the season just opposite to the countries situated in the northern pole. There are In Antarctica, there are 4 to 5 months of continuous daylight in summer, that is from November to February, and 4 to 5 months of continuous darkness in winter. Next, ozone layer depletion which is found in Antarctica. In 1980s, scientists observed a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica. As you know, that ozone layer, it protects us from the ultraviolet radiation of the sun. Now, how this ozone hole is caused? This ozone hole is caused due to the release of CFC'S, that is chlorofluorocarbon compounds, that rises to the upper atmosphere where they attack and destroy the ozone layer. Next, effect of global warming on Antarctica. Temperature of Antarctica as a whole is predicted to rise by a small amount over the next 50 years. Now, what would happen if the temperature rises in Antarctica? Rising temperature, it will cause the ice shelves to break as they are floating in the ocean. It may cause the glaciers to speed up their flow, which may lead to rise in sea level throughout the world. Vegetation, wildlife, and minerals of Antarctica. Though, as I've told you earlier, Antarctica is a cold desert. Therefore, entire Antarctica flora is represented by mosses, lichens, and flowering plants. The permanent severe frost and the cold wind prevents any distribution of plant species in Antarctica. On the other hand, the animal life in Antarctica is quite rich. It is a home to polar bears which feed on seals. There are walruses and penguins. Now, minerals in Antarctica. Antarctica is the least explored of all continents, but enormous deposits like coal, iron ore, copper, uranium, gold, diamond are buried under the ice cap. But as per the Antarctica Treaty, it prohibits the mining of these minerals by any country in the world. Now come to India's expedition to Antarctica. India's expedition in Antarctica, it is carried out under the guidance of National Center for Antarctica and Ocean Research. It was established in 1981. The first India's expedition in Antarctica was carried out in 1981. India's first research station in Antarctica was named the Dakshin Gangotri in 1983, followed by another research station which was called as Maitri in 1990. Recently, India has a third research station which is named as Bharati. It is used to study the fauna and molecular biodiversity in Antarctica. Now, India's research stations, Dakshin Gangotri, it was the first research station of India situated in Antarctica. It was set up at latitude 70 degrees south and longitude 12 degrees east in 1983. It is an automatic It has an automatic weather recording equipment installed in this station. Maitri, the second permanent settlement base camp set up in 1989. It has been used for conducting experiments on geology, geography, and medicine. Bharti, India has demarcated an area beside Larsman Hill at 69 degrees south, 76 degrees east for its third research station, and it is one of the active research station in Antarctica. It is one of the active research station of India in Antarctica, and it is in operation from 2013. India has entered the allied group of nations having multiple stations, multiple research stations within the Antarctic Circle. Now, why is Antarctica called a human free zone? It may seem very strange, but it's worth wondering exactly why there is no permanent human settlements in Antarctica. It's because Antarctica's freezing climate and barren glacial coast, with a with not a single drop of fresh water to drink, and isolated from the rest of the world, which makes life impossible in Antarctica. That is why there is no permanent human traces in Antarctica. What is the future of Antarctica? Antarctica is fully protected from mineral exploitation and conflict under the Antarctica Treaty. It is a continent dedicated to peace and science. There is also a growing interest from bioprospectors who search for genetic and biochemical resources from flora and fauna on Antarctica. However, as energy, mineral reserves, and fishing resources are exhausted or depleted, and tourist numbers on Antarctica continue to escalate, the pressure to exploit Antarctica's natural resource on land and in the ocean is likely to increase in future. That's all from this chapter. Thank you, and stay safe and stay at your home.